Hey, good day, everybody. And the culmination of our Best2SMB conference, we are about to begin. It is very exciting every year for me. We started this in 2017 to recognize those business to small business brands that really do an outstanding job in their efforts going to market with this enormous small business marketplace that is out there, $500 billion by last count. And we have the good fortune of a large leaders league that contributes nominations, but probably more importantly, we have the contribution of these 8, 9 fantastic influencers that make up the B2SMBI influencer circle, and they are our judges. They are the ones who take our leaders league nominations. Basically, we fire around some emails, some comments, some arguments, and we basically come to the conclusion of our finalists and then our winners in these 4 categories. So this is, without further ado, the award show, the 2021 Best2SMB Awards. And I am joined by this wonderful panel that is our B2SMBI Influencer Circle. I'm gonna start by just going around the horn and getting everybody to give a brief introduction of yourself and talk a little bit about what you do and who you work with, and that would be a terrific way to start. So let's start. We never start with Barry Maltz. Let's start with Barry Maltz.
It's always a good place to start. I'm Barry Maltz. I help small business owners get unstuck, and I'm really excited to be part of this program yet again this year, especially those that have persevered and who have adopted change during this time. Coming out, I thought on December 15th, Dave, but now it looks like February 15th of next year, my new book called Change Masters, How to Make the Changes You Know You Need to Make.
Huzzah, bravo, man. Riva Lazansky, please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Riva Lazansky. My company is Grow Biz Media. We recently sold our more well-known website, smallbizdaily.com. It's gone. We are launching, yes, like yay! We're launching a new site, smallbusinesscurrents.com, should launch later this month. So we're busy working on that. And other than that, I do a lot of writing for other sites and corporations that need help reaching small businesses.
Awesome. Anita Campbell.
Hey, hi, I'm Anita Campbell, and I am delighted to be part of this group. Dave Walker, you have really put together an amazing program here, and it's just wonderful. And to be with such an august group here is fantastic. I run Small Business Trends. It's an online information source for small businesses. And we have been at it, actually, this month is our anniversary. It is since 2003, if you can imagine that.
Wow.
So I can't even believe the time has flown like that. But yeah, in October of 2003 is when we really got our start. So anyway, without further ado, I'll pass the baton to the next person.
Well, it's Anita, congratulations. 18 years old, you're now legal. You can do all sorts of things. That's great. The small biz lady, Melinda Emerson, my good friend.
Oh gosh. Hey, everybody. This is Melinda Emerson, the small biz lady. I am so excited to be back here again, honoring the top folks in our industry that have been out here helping all of these small businesses through the pandemic. One of the things that we've done in the pandemic is we created a new online school. I now have Small Biz Lady University, where I'm giving people tools and tips on how to sell online and, of course, become their own boss, which is my latest book that just came out earlier this month, Become Your Own Boss in 12 Months. The 3rd edition is out. So we're really excited about all the ways that we can help small business owners sell and market themselves online.
Awesome. And that book is available in 74 languages, isn't it?
74 languages, Audible, Kindle, however you need it, you can find it.
That's awesome. Evana Taylor, how about you?
Hey everyone, David, thank you again for allowing me to be a part of this awesome group. I am the publisher of DIYmarketers.com, where we help small business owners do marketing on less than $17 a day. And you probably wonder, how can you do that? We do that by simplifying your marketing. And this year we are launching, just like Melinda said, over the pandemic. The site is brand new, spanking new, clean and fast. And we are now launching our marketing superpower quiz, designed to help you choose one marketing strategy, 2 tactics, 3 tools to automate it all. And that is how it's done. So excited and so grateful for all these wonderful companies that have been helping those of us who have to work on a budget.
Awesome. Absolutely awesome. Pamela Slim.
Hello, everyone. I am Pamela Slim, and I am an author and a business coach and the co-founder of with my husband, Daryl, of the Main Street Learning Lab. I really am an author practitioner, so we live and breathe literally in the middle of Main Street and work with all kinds of entrepreneurs, in particular about creating inclusive businesses and communities. I have a brand new book coming out in November called The Widest Net, which is a methodology for really seeing the totality of your market, and really look forward to working with the rest of my peers here today, because we know that software is a critical part of that ecosystem.
Awesome. And last but not least, Mr. Ramon Ray.
Hey, David, once again, thank you for your fastidious focus on small business in the B2B segment. You and your team do amazing work. So thank you. Congratulations to the winners, the nominees, and others who are part of this ecosystem. Ramon Ray, founder of Smart Hustle Media at smarthustle.com, where we educate and inspire small business owners to start and grow successful businesses. Excited to be here and learn and be a part of this with my colleagues on this panel. So David, thank you so much.
Thank you guys, all of you, for doing this. I never say thank you enough for your participation in helping with all of this, but I think you kind of share the same passion that it's a good thing to recognize excellence in this business to small business category. So often we get overlooked. We're kind of the stepchild of B2B, big enterprise B2B. But we know that our audience of small businesses is so incredibly important, especially now more than ever. And really honoring those brands who believe exactly the same thing and who are out there not just talking the talk, but walking the walk in support of small business is so critical. And that leads us to, I'm going to start our slideshow now, share my screen, and really hopefully give all of you a chance to comment on these amazing nominees that we have. And just make sure, is everybody seeing this?
Yep, looks good.
I hope so, yeah. And I'm gonna start the slideshow here. There we go. Okay, so speaking of helping small businesses, our first category is what we call Best2SMB Assistance. And we started this last year because in the midst of the pandemic, I think we all agreed that there were some brands who really just stepped up, stepped out, went above and beyond to really help small business. It wasn't just good intentions. They actually executed some amazing things. And 2020, frankly, was just as challenging in so many ways in support of small business. And we wanted to recognize those brands who provided the most impactful small business assistance programs, and really to support a widespread SMB recovery. It was great to see lots of different kind of regional grant programs and some kind of small category, small number grant programs, but these were players who really were stepping out and doing, I think, really big things. So our nominees that are Leaders League, and let me just explain a little bit how the nomination process works, because I get asked frequently. Our Leaders League, which is made up of 35 executives, primarily C-suite level executives from our member brands, I ask them in the early summer, hey, be thinking about those brands that you think in these 4 categories fit this citation. And they, like typical C-suite executives, have to be nagged persistently to actually provide those nominations. But they always come in strong. They always come in with some really great names, and lends a lot of, I think, credibility, recognition of peers that these guys are doing the right thing. So we had 9 total nominees in our Assistance of the Year category, beginning with Alignable and Amazon, Bank of America, Google, Biz2Credit, JP Morgan Chase and Company, PayPal, and Silver Lining. Those 9 nominees then winnowed down to 3 finalists: Google, PayPal, and Silver Lining. Now, as we've done in years past, I kind of throw this jump ball out there to all of our influencer judges, asking them if you would like to talk about any one of these 3 finalists and the assistance that they offered small business and why you thought it was really terrific. More than happy to hear your input on these nominees, these finalists. Anyone?
Barry and Pamela raising their hand.
Jump in there.
I will just jump in. I want to give a shout out to PayPal. That just happens to be the back end of my own business, but I know also for a lot of other business owners, at the time when everybody was really panicking so much about how to make things work and how to cash flow just became so important, they put in some very immediate and measures in place to ensure that people really had some financial stability. They put a freeze on folks who had their, extended kind of line of credit. And I know it just created this immediate feeling of ease, which I really appreciate. So for many of the clients and small businesses I talk to, I just wanted to say, give a shout out to PayPal for that kind of specific assistance.
And I want to co-sign that, one of the things that happened at the beginning of the pandemic was there were brands that rushed out here to do emergency grants for people, and they very quickly ran out of money because they didn't realize just how great the need was. And I wanted to give a shout out also to PayPal because they were one of the brands that got caught with, oh no, we don't have enough money. And then they went back into their coffers and came back out with more money and tracked down people who had applied and got people $10,000, $15,000, and $20,000 grants. And I know quite a few minority businesses that made all the difference for. So I certainly want to give an amazing shout out to PayPal as well.
I want to jump on the PayPal bandwagon, but in a different way. When the banks were really struggling to give out the PPP loans, finally, the government enabled fintech lenders like PayPal actually to facilitate these loans. And since they knew how to do it, they had the whole technology back end. I believe they really facilitate and smooth things out for a lot of people who are having difficulty dealing with the everyday bank. So PayPal, thank you for that type of assistance.
It was amazing, no doubt. I'll give a shout out here to, and then please everyone else jump in. A quick shout out to Silver Lining. There's probably a lot of you don't know who Silver Lining is, but Carissa Reiniger and her team have just simply done an amazing job in stepping up and really stepping out to create great assistance for small businesses, actually globally. For a long time, they've had a terrific initiative called Thank You Small Business, which they've have corporate sponsors all over the world that really create programs that are meant to celebrate small businesses in local communities. They also very quickly began work as the pandemic took shape in adapting their playbook program to really address the needs that small businesses were having immediately and providing them and their tens of thousands of small business users the kinds of tools that they really needed to help out. We actually have a great session with Carissa and the head of the small business unit for Spotify. The two of them partnered on an amazing I Love New York campaign that has drawn lots and lots of media attention, national recognition. It's really an absolutely terrific program. I applaud not just her team's creativity, but man, these guys work their butts off on behalf of small business. And it's really a wonderful example for all of us. Ivana, for you.
I guess I can't believe I'm going to do this, but I'm going to shout out to Google. And for something very, for a very large company, they did a very small thing that was extremely powerful. If you remember during the pandemic, especially as things kind of started to open up, one of the important things was that businesses updated their Google My Business page and made sure that they added the right information. For example, how can you order? Do you need a reservation? All these very, very specific things. And I know that is a small thing, but Google recognized that a lot of their small business owners were not updating these things. and they put a campaign together to make sure that these COVID sections were added, that you got an email that said, update this section, update today, so on and so forth. So that's a very small thing, but I believe that it was really helpful to the small businesses and to their customers.
Well, I'll use that as a bridge to announce our winner in this particular category, which I've accidentally hit the wrong buttons as I was trying to move a screen around and shown you. But not to steal any thunder from our magnificent master of ceremonies for the last 4 years. Ramon, we're about to announce the winner. I'm going to hit the slide advance, and you can tell us who is the B2SMBI Best2SMB SMB Assistance of the Year. Ready?
I'm ready. Ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be Google or PayPal or silver lining. Who will it be? It is Google. Can we give a ding, ding, ding? As we say, thank you, Google, for winning SMB Assistance of the Year from the B2SMB Institute, David Walker and team. And thank you, Google, for what you've done. And congratulations as well to our nominees, PayPal and silver lining. But again, big thanks to Google.
Well, I think Ivana actually alluded to it well. I can't believe we're giving an award to Google, but really you have to praise the extraordinary work that they did this past 18 months and how they really stepped up into this breach that was created and did such a magnificent job. So congratulations to Google. Our
Absolutely.
next category is Best Offering. It's really the brand recognized for creating the most valuable and well-received product or service into this SMB marketplace. Now, these could be products that were or offerings that were launched in this last 18 months or year, but they also could be products and services that have been around for a long time. But really, we really wanted to focus on those who really were incredibly important in 2021. Now, we had a great list of nominees here. We had Alibaba.com, we had HubSpot. There was a special call out to Microsoft and their Azure program, Salesforce, Squarespace, I'll get it, Zoho, Shopify, Zoom. I mean, all of these were kind of like, boy, you couldn't go wrong with any of these, and really kind of recognizing what an extraordinary product they were. As we got down to the finalists and this wonderful panel of judges really kind of started to vote on who they thought was best, maybe not a lot of surprise for Salesforce and Shopify, but you go, Zoom, you go. Here we are on the platform doing this virtual event. Zoom really actually became not just ubiquitous on virtual meetings, but really, frankly, an incredibly important tool for small business forced to work remotely. Would anybody like to, take on any of these and really talk about what amazing products and services these guys deliver?
Well, I agree that I don't think any of us could have gotten through the year personally or in business without Zoom. I think they really have a great product, rarely have a problem with it. But I want to talk about Shopify for a minute, because I think that during the pandemic, so many retailers had to turn to online, turn to e-commerce. And one of the best ways to do that was build a Shopify store. And a lot of them did it. And, I think that partly when you look at the sales numbers last year of the increase in online sales, I think that's due to companies like Shopify that just made it easier for retailers to set up e-commerce operations.
And if you want to look to anybody who's trying to create a product, all you got to do is look to Zoom. All it does, it works. Any environment you give it, it works. I've been logged on to Microsoft products, I've logged to Google products, and a lot of times there's problems, there's conflicts with which I have loaded on my computer, but Zoom always works. And the people voted with their sessions. In February of 2020, they had 5 million users, and in March of 2020, they had 25 million users. That says it all.
It does. Anita, what would you like to add?
Well, I want to go back to Shopify for a moment, because I think one of the most powerful and yet surprising things that Shopify has done is has begun working with Walmart to make sure that Shopify merchants can get a wider audience for their products. And I think that that's a pretty amazing thing. And I really didn't see it coming. I love it. I love the idea of it. And if you really want to help small businesses, don't just give them technology, give them the ability to reach out and get more customers, because that's really what small businesses want and need, is more customers and sales.
And I would just co-sign with Shopify. One of the things that was so great about Shopify was they really simplified their process to become a customer. You know, it used to be before you had to get a Shopify app developer and do all this stuff. They really simplified it. They made it an extremely affordable cost for anyone that wanted to set up a Shopify store. And it was like 4 clicks and you were done. And so they streamlined their organization so that anyone could get online within hours. And that was really made all the difference to so many people who were struggling with their digital pivot.
Ramon, you've worked a lot with Salesforce. Do you have anything to add about Salesforce and their nomination?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting that they're providing a platform for startups who are looking to scale and or for small businesses. I mean, you look at what they do for Dreamforce, hundreds of thousands of people come, I think I'm pronouncing it right, Moscone, I believe, Center in California. You have a whole developer platform, and you have the largest companies using them and the smaller companies too. And I don't know any company that has the cutest little teddy bear mask. In fact, I get choked up when I think about it as Salesforce. So kudos to them. Totally different companies for sure. Shopify, Zoom, Salesforce. I'm sure it's going to be a intense competition, but also their series. Again, many companies are doing the webinar series, but shout out to them. They've had Mark Cuban, I think, several times, and other industry leaders, you know, on some pretty interesting webinars they've had. So I think they have a right to be here in the 2021 Best SMB Offering of the Year as a finalist. Who wins? We will see in a bit.
And the winner is?
And ladies and gentlemen, the winner is Shopify, deservedly winning the B2SMB Best SMB Product and Services Award. Kudos to Shopify and the Shopify executives and team that help power many small businesses.
Second year in a row, guys, that they have won this category. I think it really it speaks to not just how e-commerce has taken over the small business world, but how they really helped small business migrate, as they absolutely had to, into e-commerce and really, frankly, undergo an entire digital transformation. So congratulations to Shopify for the win in this category. Okay, moving on now. The brand of the year. And, you know, as an ex-brand guy, I will tell you these awards actually meant a lot to me and my marketing teams. It's really to recognize the brand that is a champion in our industry, that has just leading market standing, that has demonstrated overall leadership and honestly preference amongst small business buyers. And so when we actually saw the nominations, they were way beyond these 8. It was almost 27 different, I think it was 27 different nominees that we had in this category, because there was so much good work going on. And so much market leadership that was going on. But these are the brands that really stood out to our Leaders League: Alignable, Amazon, Indeed, Intuit, a frequent player in this space, QuickBooks, Salesforce, but also a great shout out to Score. I mean, here is Score, you know, kind of a government agency, you know, that's the way some people look at them. But the work that they did was amazing. So was the work that Gusto and Verizon did. I think that this category, probably more than any other, showed that our Leaders League was really paying attention, that they were actually watching the full landscape, because you got a lot of different categories of offering here, and a lot of different ways of going to market, and a lot of products and services. And, you know, all of them really represent so many pieces and parts of the great work that great B2SMB brands do. So our finalists were Alignable, Indeed, and Verizon. And I would love anyone to jump in wherever they would like to talk about these 3 amazing brands.
Only since Barry didn't put his hand up. No, Reva, please go ahead, Reva. All yours.
I was just going to say, I am really a big admirer of Alignable and what Eric has managed to do there in a relatively short period of time, bringing business owners together where they can share challenges and solutions. And I've actually, on the journalism side of it, found the Alignable polls. They would poll and it wasn't like, the thing about the Alignable polls is they would poll a lot of people. So you got a really good overview of what was going on, what small businesses, the challenges they were faced with, and what some people were doing to overcome those challenges. And I just found it really informative and enlightening. So.
I love that, Riva. And what I was going to add about, sorry, Pamela, go ahead, please.
Well, I was going to say, I also love Alignable so much. I wanted to give a specific really recommendation for Verizon that's very personal for what it is that I saw down here on Main Street. Verizon had a lot of partnership with LISC, which is a national organization that does grant building. And one of the things I think that's a characteristic of a brand that really gets what the work actually is recognizing that if they don't have relationships with a local community, that it's much harder to make decisions about where to invest. And because they were partnered with an organization that works deeply inside, I know our neighborhoods here in Mesa, the impact was so positive in terms of grants that went in the hands of really, really important business owners, and especially a lot of Black, Indigenous, folks of color. And so I just really want to thank Verizon for their excellent partnership and really putting dollars behind economic recovery.
And Ramon, I'd like to give a shout out to Indeed if I could. I mean, 2 years ago at the B2SMB conference, I interviewed an executive from Indeed. And what they're trying to do is not only make it easy to post your job, but they have tests where you can further qualify the people who are applying for your job. And of course, during right now, the Great Resignation, when it's more difficult than ever to find people, Indeed really is a very strong tool for small business owners.
I was just going to make a comment on Indeed or Alignable of Verizon, but I think my colleagues have done great comments, so I will save time and we can move on.
All right. So the brand of the year of 2021, Best2SMB is, drum roll please.
Alignable. Congratulations,
Alignable.
For being
and
the B2.
This was a horse race, guys. There's no question. There was a lot of votes for all of our finalists, and frankly, a lot of votes for our nominees. But ultimately, I think you guys referred to it. If there was ever a brand that walked the talk of caring for small business in the last 18 months, 2 years, and really since their inception, it is Alignable. I think it's, it's no secret that Alignable is approaching 7 million small business members around the US. They're building an amazing and powerful community and giving voice to, frankly, folks who haven't had much of a voice and much of a way of connecting with each other to create real communities, not just in their local municipality, but really all over the country. So shout out to Eric Groves and Maureen Plowman, who I interviewed for this award. And please check out the interview, because those are folks who really are kind of are leading with their hearts. And it's really just terrific to see. Congrats to Alignable. Okay, the last category as we round third and head for home here. And it's my favorite one. I think that every award show should have a Hall of Fame. It allows you to, frankly, recognize the most distinguished, the most highly valuable long-term champions in this B2SMB space. And, I'm not sure how far back you go to describe a B2SMB brand. For instance, Dun & Bradstreet, which is a venerable brand, has actually been serving businesses, particularly small businesses, for 160 years. And they have the distinction that they actually have had 4 US presidents as employees of Dun & Bradstreet, which I think is, that's more than most states. So I think that's really just kind of astounding how long this industry, this ecosystem has been living that serves small business. So again, here too, we had a ton of nominees because every year we induct 3 brands into our Hall of Fame. We had Amazon, Angie, eBay, Facebook, Indeed, MailChimp, PayPal, Square, Verizon, Google, eBay, LegalZoom, Microsoft. Gosh knows, there's no doubt these are household names, even household names that have changed their name in the last little bit, like Angie, or changed their logo, or at least some element of how they are branded.
And David, if I can just add, kudos to MailChimp for being bought by Intuit. Continue on, but I just wanted to.
Yeah, exactly. And boy, that's a wonderful payday for Xander and all that team that basically, founded MailChimp.
I bet they know, I'll tell you what, I bet Intuit knew something that MailChimp didn't. Here's a little tidbit. A huge percentage of small business owners, when you ask them where their email list is, do you know what they give me? Their QuickBooks database.
Fascinating. I believe that. I would believe that. That's where the money lies.
That's where the money is, right?
Yep.
So great partnership there.
That's terrific. Well, it just so happens that one of our finalists was MailChimp, along with Amazon, Microsoft, PayPal, Square, and Verizon. Now, I have to say, I really don't put my thumbs on the scale in these votes and judging. I was a little concerned when I saw both PayPal and Square as Hall of Fame recipients, and I was really praying mightily, oh, please don't both of them win. That's going to be tough to explain. But anyone jump in here and talk about not just this last year for these brands, but really the full history of these brands and what they've contributed in the small business space.
I'd love to touch on Microsoft, may I?
Sure.
Yeah, I just want to give kudos. I can remember Cindy Bates, who many of us remember many, many years ago. So I think that all these companies are well-deserved. But I think from my memory, Microsoft may be the longest that had such a dedicated focus in the small business space. So whether they win or not, small business server, their programs, their events, all kind of things they've done. So again, whether they win or not, kudos to them, I must say, as possibly leading the way for all these. But I turn it over to my colleagues.
No, you're apt. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I have to tell Verizon is known, when I work with clients and everyone, they almost always choose Verizon for their sales staff, their marketing teams, because they truly do cover the country and the world like no one else if you want reliability. But I have a personal story to tell about Verizon. When I went into business for myself and got a cell phone back in the day, there were minutes. Remember that? You would buy minutes, and there were all these confusing things. And one day I got a bill for $400, something it was ridiculous. And I called Verizon and they were like, oh, we, this plan thing, whatever, sorry, blah, blah, blah. And they took care of it. And they have, not exactly that, but there were a couple small business issues. And every time a client or I have called them for small business help, they have come through over the years. I'll never leave them.
A great testimonial.
I'd like to recognize Amazon. We know it's a really huge company, but in particular, the workers at Amazon. We know a brand is only made up of the hard work and blood, sweat, and tears, literally, of its workers. When I think about what it meant to our family, to the families of so many who were desperately trying to get toilet paper, who were really, trying to move things around when everything was shut down. Just knowing that infrastructure was there, I know made a big difference. But I really want to honor and acknowledge the people that work at Amazon for the hard work that they put in to get folks the products and services they needed.
That's a great shout out. Anita, how about you?
Well, I want to mention two companies in particular. One, Microsoft, because they've been around for a long time, as Ramon mentioned, but they've also really transformed what they've done when it comes to their Azure platform. And we recently moved to Azure, and we found that despite my fears that maybe it was going to be very hard to use, it turned out to be the nimblest, easiest, most small business friendly platform you could imagine. And I was just very surprised by that. So big kudos for that. but I want to recognize specifically Amazon because, you know, the economic power of Amazon and the impact that they've had. Do you know that most of their sales now of Amazon are coming from third-party sellers? And so many of those are small businesses that sell on the Amazon platform. So this is a company that could have kept everything to themselves, but opened it up to small business sellers. And I think that's amazing. That says it all.
I think that during the pandemic, if it wasn't for Amazon, a lot of small business owners would have no place to go and sell their goods. The statistics are amazing. Over, as Anita was saying, over 50% of the products on Amazon now are from small business owners, and 2 million small business owners sell through Amazon. So it definitely has become a channel of choice for small business owners.
Yeah, and I just want to add that you know, Square is on here, and I'm a super big fan of Square. When Square first launched their products in the mid 2000s, they revolutionized, you know, merchant accounts. You used to have to go through this huge big hassle to get a merchant account so that you could pay somebody for the privilege to take a credit card. And then you had to pay per transaction and all this stuff. And Square did away with that, and they disrupted the entire industry, and they haven't stopped. A few years ago, they launched Cash App. We all know about Cash App, right? So I think that they continue to innovate. They are now doing loans and things to small businesses, and they have just always been a market leader. And so I'm very, very excited to see them on the Hall of Fame list because they absolutely deserve to be here.
I couldn't agree more. I'll give a special shout out to MailChimp because I think that it's easy to forget that MailChimp was actually one of the very first brands to introduce the freemium model. And it was, at the time, it was revolutionary, but man, did it get panned. It was like, how on earth can you give away a service? I mean, that's crazy. How are you ever going to make money? When are you ever going to make money? And again, kudos to those guys for sticking to their guns and recognizing that it was far better to develop relationships that can be turned into bigger relationships for their more advanced product by giving away the base product for free versus just going out and churning and burning and prospecting like so many do in the small business space, smile and die, you know, spray and pray. MailChimp just did it very, very differently. And I think they taught the entire industry. By 2010, everybody was waking up to the fact that, you know, this is really the right way to go to market when it comes to small business. Is you don't have to do a whole lot of the pick and shovel work of finding or qualifying small business customers. When they start to use your product and they like it, you got everything you need to close the deal and move to, you know, an upsell. So kudos to them for really introducing that terrific model into our space. Before we announce our 3 inductees, does anyone have anything else to add? Sorry. Okay, Ramon, here we go. This is the big one, buddy. You got to rapidly say 3 enormous names at once who are inducted to 2021's Best2SMB Hall of Fame. Our inductees are, come on, slide. Come on, you can do it. There we go.
Congratulations, PayPal, Amazon, and MailChimp, B2SMBI Best2SMB Hall of Fame Awards for 2021. Congratulations.
And you join a pantheon. We're hoping to get funding to build a kind of a marble, you know, Greek style kind of memorial here somewhere in St. Charles, Illinois, somewhere down on Main Street that will ensconce plaques for all of these Hall of Fame recipients. But really, these guys join an amazing roster of past inductees and really kind of set the gold standard for brands that we can all in this space, that all of our peers, all of our 4,000 plus members can admire because we know that small businesses admire them enormously. That brings us to a conclusion for our award show. Thank you guys so much for doing this, and thank you for contributing your votes. We very much appreciate it. Does anyone have anything to add about, just really frankly, about how are you looking at 2022? What's your sense of small business and where they're headed? Let's go around the horn just real quickly to just get your feedback on where you think things are going for the small business sector?
I'm happy to go. I can tag if you like. I'll tag the next person. For me,
Sure.
I think, listen, I think it's going to be more of the same. We all may disagree, but I think that with very, very small businesses, my focus, the smallest of small businesses, I think they're still going to be focused on how do I get more customers? How do I keep customers? What are my finances and cash flow? I think that's the basics of what small businesses, we mentioned SCORE. There's other things, AI and startups, but I think for what I'm seeing, and I think that sadly, many have been decimated. Many have gone through tough times, but my hope is that the future will resurrect more and more and more. So if I may, I'm just going on my screen. I'll tag Barry.
I think it's a little bit different. I think it's all about people. We talk about the Great Resignation. The small business owners that I talk to, they can't find people. That's really what's limiting their growth. I have a client in Cleveland, Ohio, Ivana, where if he could only hire the factory workers that he needed, he could increase his sales by 25%. Just cannot find the people. That's going to continue to be an issue this next year.
Tag.
Agreed. Pamela, how about you?
Yes.
I'll tag Pamela.
All right. I think 2022 is going to be about simplification and ecosystem partnerships. Everybody I talk to is so tired of having to make decisions. It's one of the outcomes of having so much innovation in the space, which is great on one hand, but people are tired of trying to figure out what's my best CRM, what's my best kind of way to manage my finances. If there is, as we see with the Intuit acquisition of MailChimp, if there are some players or partners who can say, working together, we will create a seamless experience where you don't have to think so much, and we'll probably invest in having people help you to implement it, then that's going to be a big relief for small business owners, as opposed to switching systems every year and being exhausted by the process.
Tag somebody.
And yeah, Ivana.
I'm so glad you tagged me, Pamela, because you took my simplify, but I'm going to take your simplify. And how does that go? What's the gambling thing? And raise you.
I'll raise you.
I'm going to take your simplify. I'm going to raise you where they're going to simplify. What I see happening is small business owners really simplifying how they get customers, keep customers, and make money. And that's going to start with focusing on their strengths. I think small business owners are really tired of seeing long lists of strategies, long lists of apps and tactics and all of that other kind of stuff. I see them focusing on what is my strength? What do I do well? And doubling down on that for the exact same reason you said, Pamela. I think they're tired. They're tired of trying. They're tired of being something that they're not. And they're going to just embrace their strength and double down. And I'm going to tag, is there a hand raised? Reva.
Thanks, Ivana. I think that we're in for a little bit more of the same. I think that things have gotten a little better, but I think it all comes down to consumers, and it's about how you deal with your customers. And this goes for big businesses and small businesses. There are so many choices today for where customers can get their stuff. They don't need you. And that's really, it's hard to understand that, but they don't. And so you have to give them the best customer experience you can, because if you don't, they'll just take their business elsewhere. And that's not just on the sale, but that's on the customer service. That's on that. It's really, really important. And I think that in the last year, a lot of that has gotten lost. People are like, just be grateful I'm here. And we have to get back to serving our customers well. Melinda.
Well, I co-sign on everything that has already been said, but one of the things that I think is marketing has become a lot more complicated for the very thing that we just all talked about. People do have so many options. And one of the things that I think we have to help and support small business owners with is really figuring out their sales systems, their follow-up systems, really understanding sales funnels and paid ads and all this stuff, which you really do have to do. You can't just do one thing. You got to be doing multiple things in order for your customer to find you and for you to be able to build that trust relationship and turn that into a long-term customer. And I'm always big on focusing on those existing customers because they're 60 to 70% more likely to buy again versus your new leads that are only 5 to 20% liable to buy. So I'm really all about helping people understand all these online marketing systems because a lot of people were thrown in the deep end and didn't understand this stuff. And now you have to because the competition is so fierce.
And Anita, you're last.
Okay, well, you're going to be after me, Dave. So,
Oh, okay.
because we want to hear what you think too. So business owners are re-examining their life priorities. I think that's really one of the things behind this great resignation is people, you know, they were forced to be at home. They started examining their lives, their relationships with their families, how much time they were spending commuting, and they decided to make some choices. And we've also seen just a skyrocketing increase in starting a business, starting your own business. Business starts, according to the U.S. Census, are, you know, they're double what they were the prior year. So I think that people are really saying, hey, you know, I kind of like this thing of working at home now. I kind of like the freedom it has given me in my life. And I don't want to sacrifice. I don't want to compromise. So I'm going to do more of that. And I think we're going to see even more of that in the coming year. So with that, Dave, what do you think?
Thank you very much for teeing me up. I almost forgot myself, which is unusual, as you all know. I think that one of the things I'm most excited about in 2022 is the alignment of all of us in B2SMB brands with all of those advocacy organizations that serve small business. And that's something that we've really tried to foster here at the Institute over the last 18 months, because frankly, I was stupid when it came to understanding how do those advocacy organizations work. And I think it boils down to this. There are a tremendous number of challenges that small businesses face that are not fixed by a product or a service that we offer. And those problems and challenges, though, absolutely impact the health of small business. So as good stewards of the small business ecosystem, I think we all owe it to ourselves to learn more about the other people who are great stewards of the small business ecosystem, who in their own conference rooms and in their own offices and cubicles and driving home from work are trying to solve those challenges that we can't solve as brands. So the more that we can align those advocates with us in this B2SMB brand community, I think we're really going to make a terrific impact in helping small business that goes far beyond just writing a check and just getting a sponsorship logo presentation on a particular organization's website. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about everything that you guys said. I sign on to all of it as well. Continue to help us, continue to help our brands, continue to help me in really advancing the cause of really our shared passion for the success of small business. Thank you guys so much for doing this. Thank you, Barry.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ivana. Thank you, Riva. Thank you, Anita, Melinda, Pamela, and Ramon. Thank you very much for doing this, guys. Much appreciated.